Sandy was a child. She thought like a child. She acted like a child. She absolutely loved dressing up and playing games. Sometimes she pretended to be a nurse. Her mama would be her patient. She was a terrible patient. Mama would not take her pretend medicine. Instead, she would toss and tickle Sandy. Sandy loved it. Sometimes she pretended to be a hairdresser. Her daddy would be her client. Sandy put his long hair in a ponytail. He would make funny faces and make her laugh. Sometimes she pretended to be a teacher. She taught about the green hippo on the moon. Then she gave a test and failed everyone. Sandy was a child. She thought like a child. She acted like a child. Sometimes she pretended to be a famous chef. Everyone would eat her pretend food. She fed them pretend worms with creamy snot sauce. Everyone gagged as she offered the pretend meal. Her all-time favorite game was house. She was always the mommy. Whoever played the daddy had to go to the store at least 50 times a day. Her dog or bald-headed dolls were usually the babies. She loved feeding and playing with them. Sandy was a child. She thought like a child. She acted like a child. Sandy's 16-year-old neighbor, Casper, knew this. Unfortunately, this was not good for a little girl. One day, Casper's older sister, Bonnie, was babysitting Sandy and their younger sister, Tam. Tam and Sandy were the same age. They were friends. Casper came over with his friend, Tim, and offered to finish babysitting. His sister quickly left. Casper smiled and announced they were going to play house. Awesome. Sandy loved playing house. Sandy would be Casper's wife. Tam would be Tim's wife. Sandy asked Casper who would be the babies. Everybody knows you can't play house without babies. Casper looked very irritated, but told her to grab a couple of her bald-headed dolls or the dog. He said they would pretend to go to bed. They laid down. He hugged her, then tried to kiss her. Sandy told him to stop. He wanted to touch her privates. Her parents warned her to never let anyone touch her there. She said stop again. Casper told Sandy she wasn't any fun. After calling her boring, he pointed at his sister and Tim. Sandy looked in horror at what she saw. Although Tam was being hurt, she begged Sandy not to tell. She also begged Sandy to play house so Casper wouldn't get mad. Casper grabbed Sandy and held her down. He kissed her. She kicked him hard. Sandy jumped up and ran away. Casper would have chased her, but his older sister rushed in and announced Sandy's mom was back. Everyone warned Sandy not to tell. After all, they were just playing house. Then Casper and Tim snuck out the back door. Mama came in. She asked what they had been doing. Tam answered, just playing house. Mama looked at Sandy. Sandy said nothing. Actually, she said nothing the next day either. Sandy felt sick and couldn't even go to school. Fortunately, Mama knew something was wrong. She asked if anything had happened. She promised not to be mad at Sandy. Sandy did her best to explain. Mama wasn't mad at Sandy. However, she was very mad at Casper, Tim, and the babysitter. Mama reported them to the police. Afterwards, Sandy felt different. Playing house felt different. It just wasn't fun anymore. She was still a child, but she no longer completely thought like a child. She wanted to, but couldn't. Thoughts would just pop up in her mind, and slowly she started to mix in adult things as a child. Sandy didn't like it at all. The older she got, the more the thoughts popped in her head. When they did, she watched many things she shouldn't, especially when alone. It was her secret. And the more she looked at those things, the more she wanted to do those things. And eventually she did everything she saw. She felt out of control. As for Tam, she told the police that Sandy was not telling the truth. Nothing happened. They were only playing house. To Tam, that's all it was. Years later, things did not go well for her. It also did not go well for another small child Casper was left alone with one day. As a young woman, Sandy did well career-wise. People loved her. She was fun. However, in private, she wondered why she did those things. No one knew she really felt ashamed, alone, and very trapped. She wanted the emptiness she felt after each new boyfriend or watching those things to end. There just had to be more to life than secrets and pretending to be happy. Sandy didn't know how to make the thoughts stop, or why they were there in the first place. She only knew she wanted to stop feeling bad immediately. Thank you for watching part 1 of Like a Child. Stay tuned for part 2 to see what happens next. Stay encouraged and see you soon.